Released in 2017 by Bloober Team, the original Observer was roundly and near-universally praised for the philosophical depth of its story, the quality of its production, and the standout performance by actor-turned-voiceover artist Rutger Hauer. Now, 3 years later, heralded as its definitive edition, Observer System Redux has released for PC and next-generation consoles. A remastered and extended director's cut of sorts, what does it introduce that warrants a first, second, or even third look? In this review, we'll walk you through the game structure itself, a spoiler-free review of the story, and a rundown of the standout improvements in this release. Does it sound like something you'd want to play? Let's find out.
Clear eye and a kindly heart.
At its most basic, Observer System Redux could be described as an experience. A story-driven walking simulator akin to Bloober Team's Layers of Fear. There isn't really much adventuring in the traditional sense, more of an impressionistic journey through a world and the minds of its inhabitants. And what a world they've built. It's a dystopian, grim-dark world where genetic manipulation and augmentations have run rampant. The story is anchored by a derelict hotel in the Stacks, a seedier part of town. And if you thought that the last house in control was a labyrinthine nightmare, well, buckle up. This hotel is difficult to traverse, but the game does subtly force you along the correct path, typically by blocking you from going any place you shouldn't be going. The people you encounter in the world are seldom seen in person and are, with rare exception, only experienced as conversations through locked doors or as flashes of other people's memories, dreams, and nightmares. Harkening back to, but improving upon, the surreal nature of Remedy's work, Bloober Team presents a master's class in environmental storytelling. A slight perspective shift might force you to consider the world from a child's point of view, or an endless corridor of washing machines the way a housewife saw her life as an endless procession of washing clothes and greeting her husband when he came home from work. The biggest parts of the story are uncovered once you jack into subjects.
This better be worth it.
Your character will not only embark on an impressionist's journey of unparalleled surrealism and impressionism through their memories, dreams, and nightmares, but you'll gain a deep understanding of their part in the overall backstory, and I just cannot overemphasize how well this is all done. Let's talk about the story, and as we normally do, we'll avoid revealing anything that might ruin your enjoyment of the game. You are Daniel Lazarski, investigator of the Krakow PD and wielder of a Dream Eater, a device allowing him to enter the psyche of his subjects. He's also wonderfully acted by Rutger Hauer, a natural fit for a Blade Runner reminiscent world. And as the game begins, you're seemingly awakened from sleep in your police car and receive a call from your estranged son, Adam, asking for your help. After learning to inject yourself with drugs to stabilize yourself and performing other tutorial-esque activities, you'll find yourself at the aforementioned hotel. And here's where the story proper begins. Although first released in 2017, a major constraint of the game is that the hotel's tenants have been forcibly locked into their homes, under the pretense of protecting them from an outbreak of the nanophage, a nanite contagion that might force augmentations to go all grey goo on their owners. Kinda prescient in enlightening and frightening ways. Thanks, 2020. Over the next 10 hours, you'll visit a diverse set of environments and dream worlds as you learn how you must help Adam and unravel a huge backstory that will grow more fascinating the longer you play. But don't worry, aside from the main investigation, your journal will fill up quite quickly with several side investigations that, though optional, really help paint a fuller picture of the world and its culture. And in some ways, I enjoy these more than the main quest. Now, you probably think by the way I'm talking about the game that I'm just going to glow about it, how wonderful it is, but is everything perfect? Well, no. Despite the many improvements over the initial release, some problems linger on the Xbox Series X. First off, the environments are far often too dark. I mean, I understand the stylistic choices, especially in a game where the mood is filled with detachment and disorientation, but for some people, me included, the darkness obscured walls and pathways. Even reading mail on terminals became a frustrating trial requiring painstaking deciphering of the very dim text. And by the way, this was after several hours of running the Xbox's HDR and TV fine-tuning tests and adjusting everything to their specifications. There are some game-breaking bugs. At one point, I found myself trapped in a room in the claustrophobic basement floor, unable to leave or progress. Reloading my most recent autosave didn't help at all and required me to lose an hour's progress and try again. From what I read on the Steam forums, this happens on PC as well as Xbox. And the graphics, although beautifully crisp and smooth in nearly almost all places on Series X running at 4K 60, still jutters in weird ways occasionally, sometimes reaching down into what I believe are the mid-20s FPS range for extended periods. Now, none of these problems are inherent to the design, and I'm pretty sure that they can be addressed given enough time. Let's hope Bloober Team takes the time away from Medium to give this title the love it needs and fully deserves. A final criticism are these kinds of strange stealth sections added into the game. And I get that they add suspense, but they feel so orthogonal to the rest of the game design, I really wish that they could be skipped. So what's new in this release? Well, while the first title wasn't necessarily a graphics powerhouse, the art direction was there. This update adds greater depth, if you will, and intricacy into the environments and character models. Color, lighting, contrast, and staging all look so much more refined and striking in this release. Animation and traversal feel smoother and more natural in subtle ways. Now, Observer System Redux won't blow people away as a system seller straining the technical limits of your amazing PC or next-generation console, but its art direction and design concepts will never fail to impress. Even better, 3 new cases have been introduced. None are particularly deep, and one is home to the aforementioned bug, but all are worthy additions thematically faithful to the original. In other words, they're well worth checking out. Finally, the game begins with a still, dedicating the game to Mr. Hauer. Now that's just a wonderful touch. Now, those of you who know me know that I love a good story-driven game. Button mashing and other interactions are necessary, but without an attachment to a world or your character's motivation for progress, they remain simple, soulless mechanics. One of the most poignant and lasting moments happened while interrogating a tenant through his locked door, as part of the main quest. We went off on this unrelated tangent, where he revealed to me he had once been a world-famous augmented wrestler, able to crush skulls in a single hand. Now presenting a pathetic figure, unable to care for himself and only retaining a single working lung, you ask how he came to be laid so low. He answers, the fine print. Being that repossessing augments is against the law in this world, he found that on retirement he'd be contractually allowed to keep his enhancements for only $2 million a month rent, forcing him to surrender them all. There are dozens of moments like this where the interplay between humanity and innovation is brought into sharp focus. The stories, spoken, discovered, and directly experienced, stick with you long after the credits roll. And I suppose that's the purpose of art. And in that regard, Observer makes the darkness shine. Observer System Redux was developed by Bloober Team, the masterful storytellers behind Layers of Fear and the upcoming Medium. It was published by Aspyr Media for only $30 on every platform imaginable. So that's our review of Observer System Redux. If you've played it, what was your experience? Please leave a comment below and let us know. Also, feel free to add any questions or suggestions. And if you enjoyed this video and would be interested in seeing more, please consider liking it, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. It would be greatly appreciated and really helps out a lot. Thanks for watching.